All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Jew, and I'm here with Master Jew.
Hello there, Mr. Jew.
Hello.
Another day.
Yeah. So the Olympics is coming to a close. Actually, this week we're about halfway through as we're filming this podcast.
And it's not right out. It's not like instantaneous. Don't tell them that.
Well, no, this might actually come out before the Olympics is over.
Oh, it might.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Just because thinking about timing. But
right.
Anyways, I thought we'd kind of look at Olympics and what can you learn from that and apply into the Taekwondo. I guess maybe more it's about the competition sense in that because the Olympics are all about the competing, right?
Right.
And so what have you learned or you've thought about when you look at the Olympics versus when you look at like Taekwondo?
Well, I always kind of say, I like looking at and watching great athletes. I like to follow successful people. I may not like the sport. I may not do the sport, but I appreciate those that are at the highest level. Mm-hmm. And Olympics kind of shows a lot of that. Mm-hmm. That the amount of work that they have to put into to get to that level. Yeah, that's kind of what inspires me. What about you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess there's just a lot of introduction to new sports or seeing people
breaking.
kind of push the limits there, right?
Are you going to watch breaking?
What breaking? Oh, breakdancing?
Yeah, they don't call it breakdancing, they call it breaking.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't even know that was, I kind of knew, but no, I probably won't really watch that. It's whatever is on at the time, and so when I'm sitting at the computer.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You do have some great athletes out there, and then, how do they perform at such a high level?
Right.
And so let's go over that a little bit, right? Like, let's take a look at like Katie Ledecky, and she is one of the best swimmers out there, right? And she pretty much dusts the other woman out there,
absolutely.
Right? And so what do you think is one of the prime factors of why she's able to do that? And obviously we don't do swimming for a living,
no,
and so there's definitely something else there. But what can we apply to Taekwondo from watching her and hearing about her?
I was going to say, some people know I don't like to go into the water.
Yeah, I know that.
But I do appreciate, and I really love watching one of her races. She's just like dominated. I mean, It's like, oh my gosh. And I did see something where in her lifetime, she's swam something like 250,000 miles.
Right.
It's a lot, and that's, I think, really one of the things that makes some people very successful, and that is you're dedicated to the craft and you dedicate a lot of time. You got to do it a lot. Taekwondo's not any different. I mean, you can't show up to class and then the next day you're a black belt and you've got these awesome flying techniques and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of work, a lot of repetition. Mm-hmm. Not only that, when you start looking at some of these athletes, and that's why I like watching it, I like to understand what are they doing to be the best at their craft. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are really working on their form. Technique is how they do it. A runner, the way they run, how relaxed are their arms, how those techniques really help them get to that special level. I just was reading something today about, what's her name, Suni Lee. She was doing the beam, gymnastics. Yeah. She's a gymnast doing the beam. And she said something to the effect that, I can nail these in practice, so I can do it. But when it comes to competition, on this particular apparatus, she struggles. She says that and says, I'm going to go back and continue to be who I am, continue to work on it, and hopefully I can overcome that little hurdle. And I think we all kind of fall into that as well. And so it's not just the physical training, it's also the mental. You see that in Olympics. Again, I'm not a gymnast, but I think a big case was for Simone Biles. Mm-hmm. I think the last
go down this road again.
Road again. I think she had a little issue with one of the format or the flips or something, and she felt like she lost a little confidence, and it can be a little bit dangerous in that case, right? You got to know that you're doing the right thing, and it's not just the physical. Sometimes it's the mental as well. A lot of these athletes, if you look at them, they are talking to themselves in a way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see that. What's your thoughts?
Well, I hate when you bring up this Simone Biles thing.
Why do you hate that one? I'm curious.
It's not just like a mental. I mean, I think there's a little bit more to it
Well,
as a gymnast than like
I'm
like
sure there
to
are.
if your body over rotates and you can't control that,
Right.
then it becomes dangerous because people actually become paraplegic because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and so the stuff that she does, if you can't control the body, it's like if you can't do a 360. Some days it feels good. Okay, maybe 360 might be too easy. 540, 720. Some days may be easy and it feels like it flows, and then some days you can't do it.
Right. So you're
And
in the
so-
zone.
Right.
in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's. I don't know. I'm a little. I lean more towards like she thought it was dangerous, and I don't believe that it's a mental thing for her.
Oh no, no.
And
I mean, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a mental thing. I'm just saying that I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just understands her body, and she understands that it's not on, and so you go, well, should you take that risk or don't take that risk? Because
Right,
sometimes
right.
I watch that and go, oh my gosh, that's so dangerous.
Right.
So like,
But she had that teammate that kind of blasted her for that because of
I see.
you cannot mentally do it, right? But I kind of lean more to the other side of like she trusts her own body, and if her body's not responding, then
well,
to-
that's the same in Taekwondo. Say you're breaking boards.
yeah,
You hurt your fist, and you go, should I do it or should I not do it? So I hurt my fist, and I know it may not be completely damaged or
Yeah.
something. Do I go for it or not go for it? Whew. I kind of think it's better to be safe than sorry, right?
yeah,
I think that's what you're kind of saying in a way, right? If you're injured, why take the risk of really seriously injuring yourself? Yeah, it could be the moment. Okay, so if we're talking about self-defense and you only had one chance, that could be life or death, then
Right.
you got to go for it no
Yeah.
matter what.
right,
But if you're talking about something that could affect you in the long run, that doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense. And I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm not saying that it's a mental. I'm saying that partly it's mental, partly is to be successful like these athletes. A lot of it, they have to be mentally prepared as well as physically prepared. If you're not physically prepared, then your mental's not going to be there either. I've always said, look, if you're not up to doing certain things, then don't do it. If you've never done that, don't start doing a 360 when you've never done that. Right? You got to build up to that.
Yeah.
Don't break boards before your test. It doesn't make sense because you get hurt.
I guess one other thing that has kind of come up in the Olympics between some of I guess a lot of things come up, but you do see that there is a lot of world records that are broken.
Oh yeah.
And what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know if you see a lot of world records are being broken at the Olympics. I think there's a lot of other events that actually world records are broken, but we've seen some. And I think that the Olympics is a kind of an interesting venue because it's only done every 4 years. World Championship, I think, is done every year for most sports. And so the Olympics is kind of like the event, right? Yeah, because it's not very many people can participate as much anyway, or it's a long time between. And so there's definitely going to be a lot of pressure. I think there's more pressure in that situation. And so do we rise to the occasion or do we fall back to our lowest level training? I think that because people are pushing the limits, they're trying to get that goal. They're trying to get to that, to rise to that occasion. They're training harder. There's just more technology and more thoughts about how we train and how we compete. That's why you see records being broken. I think that's one of the reasons. So it's people that can really rise to that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
So I think going back to the world record breaking is that people are always kind of pushing the limits.
Yep.
And so when somebody does something amazing or they set a new world record, that becomes like the standard.
Yep.
Right. And so then you have people kind of chasing towards that. And I think that's why the sport gets better. And I think that Taekwondo is no different.
Absolutely.
Right. And so people that get better at patterns, they're just gonna raise that bar. And so people are constantly trying to meet that, right?
Oh.
And same goes for sparring. People are just getting better at sparring. Timing's getting better. Technique's getting better. Training is getting better.
No, I think that that also leads to why I like competition. I think that competition makes us a little bit better, pushes us to try to be the best, to try to beat that other guy. I know some schools prefer, I just want the information. Okay, that's fine. I kind of think that to be competition just helps us push that limit.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up what are we thinking about the Olympics, and we still have a week to go, so maybe in a few weeks we'll kind of come back to this.
Maybe, or a recap.
Or I don't know. We have other things to talk about. So as always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Taekwon.